We have made it. Hello, everybody. Welcome. A little bit better late than never, one hopes. Welcome to the stream, one and all. Or if you happen to be watching this after everything is all said and done, welcome to the live stream replay. I'm Odatnerd, your friendly neighborhood Sublime Text guru, I guess, for lack of a better term. Normally, the stream would have been on the 31st, Monday, i.e. yesterday. If you look at the playback of when this actually happened and compare it to the date in the thumbnail, hey, that's not the right time. That's because, unfortunately, my work had a emergency thing that I needed to do. It has to happen, this work, in the evenings when the markets are inactive, to make sure that the systems that we were modifying and changing the configuration of don't cause any production data problems. And I wasn't sure how long it was actually going to take. I didn't want to start the stream late and maybe not at all, so I decided to just push it until today. And today has been a rather long day for me as well. So I have not one, not two, but three things for us to discuss here. Questions that came up just in the last couple of days here on YouTube. I was in fact just looking to see if I could find a link to the last one, but I believe it is something that is going to just be in a mail to me because it's sort of lost in the magic world of emails. So in that regard, we may, unless I can find it here. Nope, that's just telling me I'm live. Thus, yes, I cannot quite find it right now, but someone did ask this question. We're going to pull an answer for that. So I think we should get right into that. Normally, one of these streams would go for about 2 hours until about 10 o'clock. It's currently 8:15 my time. Got a little bit of a late start, but depending on how things go, based on the fact that I've been up for a long while so far today, this one may be a little bit shorter, unless there's some rollicking chat or we get caught up in a cool problem, as is, the case for these sorts of things. So, without further ado, let us jump into the desktop and start taking a look at questions people have had about Sublime Text this week. Look at that, I totally did that correctly. What? Hello, Ben. Welcome. Late stream. Brain mildly fried, as these things go. We got to spend the whole day playing the pointy finger game with another part of the company, but it turns out that our logging is more superior, so our finger pointing won the day. They insist that stuff that they're doing is timing out on our end. Our logs beg to differ, that everything worked just fine. Their logs don't actually exist. So, all else being equal, people tend to believe us more than them. But tricky beans. It took a lot of meetings to work that sort of thing out. Do you have a lot of horrible meetings at Sublime HQ? You spend interminable amounts of time discussing things. Oh, look at that. It even knows that I'm streaming. How exciting is that? Good to go. Right on. So, I have three things that have been asked in the last couple of days, at least. One of those was in the forum and on Stack Overflow, which has been answered. Another one was on Stack Overflow. And, one of them was in the forum and has been answered. Yeah, I kind of figured that was the case. I'm jealous for a large variety of reasons for that one. I'm supposed to start at 9 a.m. my time, and I have been up and working since 6. So that was an extra 3 hours at the beginning of the day, just to start it off with some rollicking panic meetings, such as it is. Not as much fun as one might have suspected. Oh man, I think my plugin has a little bit of a bug. My plugin has a bug in. Someone, pardon me. I promise I'm not coming down with something. I just had a hard time eating earlier. Inhaling the pepper, not a good idea. Whether you do it by nose or do it down the back of your throat, your body will get a little unhappy about it in the extreme. Somebody in the forum asked if it's possible to close the tabs of files deleted outside of Sublime. A forum link would be this one. I should probably just copy that and paste it into the chat, because I think the chat actively plays back on replays of the stream in the VOD, if you will. But generally speaking, this person wants files in Sublime that have been deleted externally to just automatically close. And I believe if we were to follow said link, making sure that one has the focus, King Keith mentioned, we'll just do that before my retina's burn out. Oh, sorry, I think it was Ultra Instinct. Pardon me. Oh my goodness. Say you have a file open, you delete it in the Explorer, it shows modified. Is it possible to auto close when you switch to Sublime? And the answer that came back was this setting closes things, and there's a button, but I don't think it automatically does it on focus. I can't remember. I know it in the past it used to when I was doing it on the other channel, but, and I don't know why this is the case, it used to take at least 24 hours, if not more, for the chat replay to appear. I'm pretty sure I have the option turned on, at any rate. This window is far too tiny for anybody's good at this juncture. Good gravy. I might not even be able to see that. Monetization off, privacy public, and customization. Live chat replay. Yes. Live chat replay shows the original messages sent anytime someone watches the video recording of your live stream. Turned on. Of course, links are turned on, and that doesn't seem to do anything. I think we actually discovered that despite the fact that YouTube has a setting for that, they flat out tell you in one of their help documents that anything that looks vaguely like a URL is automatically deleted by their spam bots unless you do it or it's a live stream and a moderator does it. And otherwise, it just goes away, which frankly is a boon, because you would not believe how frequently I get emailed because someone left a comment pointing out where you can get a cracked copy of Sublime. Or, probably you specifically would, if I had to guess. I'm not aware of a way to, or a native way, I should say, by which deleted files would just automatically have their tabs closed as soon as the file is deleted. Should be on this one too, but yeah, that probably bears a look in. Interesting. The last stream on there was quite some time ago too. Well, unfortunately, I can't fiddle with that while I'm live streaming because it gets very unhappy if I change my login while the stream is actively going. If you could scroll, that would be lovely. There we go. We got to see the, no, that one. That's the one we're looking for. If that chat could pop itself out, that would be great too. Just because I don't think there's just this one. When reopening Sublime, close save files that have been deleted from the file system. If this setting is false, no files will be closed. Instead, they'll be restored as empty files. Yeah. And I don't think there's There's not another setting related to that, as far as I'm aware, anyway, unless there's a secret one. So that's the setting listed here. And also, of course, there's a setting in a tab, or a command in the tab to close tabs with deleted files. So what this person actually wanted was, I guess, a shortcut for that. Looking for a key map and a menu item. Well, it's not in the menu, it's only in the tab context menu in this particular case. But you could create a key binding for it. The problem, of course, is that anything that's in the tab context menu needs specific information about what file group it's in. Because if there were two groups of files, like so, one there and one there, then the option here would only work inside of this group, and this one would only work inside of this group. So if you wanted it to go everywhere, you would need a plugin that iterates over all the groups and triggers the command. Would be my guess for something like that. Unless the command is cool enough to just automatically work if you pass -1. I don't know that that's actually the case, though. That's not normally how that sort of thing works. So I guess we should probably have some sort of, test file here. And if we were to do that, and come over here and say close file tabs with deleted files, nothing happens. But over here, it totally would. Right? So the goal is to have a key binding that would do that for both of those at the same time. And that particular user mentioned that they were going to try to work up a script for that command. Compare as we dare. I'm pretty sure this isn't going to work, but hey, you never know, right? You never know a thing until you try. My URL downloader plugin may need a little bit of work. What the hell is it even trying to do? Oh, I think it gets mad if you do something on a... Yeah, alright, well. Oh, I see we have another temporary plugin laying about, too. The idea that we have here is that that's probably going to do nothing if we delete this file outside of that thing. That'll do nothing. That'll do nothing. But that will make it do what we want. So if we wanted it to do for all such items, well, we should probably do that more correctly. Put that file back. We would need a plugin to do something like that. I'm just going to scoot that over to there for the time being. And this would be an example of a command that would be a window command. And this would be, if that command is called close deleted files, this could be close all deleted files command, which wouldn't take anything like that. Close all deleted files.py as a sample plugin, and then we just need to do some stuff. Got to press the appropriate keys and get for something like that, window.numGroups. So in this particular case, it's going to return 2. That's going to be a range of 0 to 2. I think that goes to 0 to 1. I do that sort of thing super often. So you might say something for group in range self.window.num groups. Well, you know, if we want to be specific about making sure that it actually works, you know, window run command, close all deleted files, and it goes 0, 1. Exactly what we want it to. So all we need to do is do self.window.run command, and the command we want to run is that one we saw here, close all deleted files. This is the sort of thing that is super easy to do, and this is one of those things that I love about Sublime. Is this something that's built in? No. Is it something that you could easily throw together if you wanted very easily? Absolutely. So all we have to do in this particular case is delete test1.txt and test2.txt. Both those files are gone. And if we were to run command close all deleted files, and we don't need to specify that part anymore. Oh, that was close. What did I do wrong here? Am I too used to doing JavaScripty type stuff by any stretch of the imagination? Yeah. That's all you need for something like that. Let's very quickly bring those back. Hello, Ashwin. How are you doing this fine morning? Right? Yeah. We're having a low-key stream this evening. And I promise chat will appear up there eventually. You just need to talk a little bit more. YouTube chat is somewhat of a jerk. Or I need to change my stream layout to have the same page open twice. But YouTube starts from the top and goes down. So the thing that I'm doing right now to make the chat appear in there is being clipped off of the top until enough chat happens for it to come down into the middle part of the overall page, causing it to appear there. It's one of those things that I've been meaning to fix for a while, and I never think of it until we're sitting in a stream and it looks like the chat is not actively doing anything. Although, I think it does not. No, we tested that previously just to make absolutely for sure. We just need to throw a comment in here, which would be something like loop through all of the file groups in the current window and close any tabs that represent files that have been deleted from disk. This is, let's say this is a wrapper around the tab context menu command. Because we like to know exactly where these things come from. But this is as simplistic as something like this actually is. If you wanted to do this purely by key binding, which we should grab you, my friend, and put you in here. You don't need that part though. Actually, we already had that part somewhere else, but you know. You can't clear the undo stack from a text command, man. And that also does what we would expect, which is perfect. I was pretty sure it would, but it's nice to test these things. I hope everybody's having a good week so far this week. I have been swamped with meetings and work panics, which are a carryover from last week. So I'd like to apologize for there not being a video yesterday. I was going to just record a sort of a state of the channel to let people know what's happening, which is that content is still here despite the fact that it seems like I'm dead. Basically what I talked about in the previous stream, and new videos that come out will probably be on a bit of a longer schedule, which is why I was also asking about scheduling type software and the like. But work sort of impinged on my weekend and took away some of the time I had set aside for that, and also some of the gumption to do anything, all else being equal. Hoping that panic goes away sooner rather than later. We're got a PO signed. We're going to get another 200 grand worth of computers, so that's exciting. And my home laptop just closed. He didn't so much have a... I said, I know. He didn't so much have a follow-up question as I mentioned. Basically, yeah, I guess he kind of did. He wanted to know if there is a shortcut for that, and I said no. You have to invoke it with a group unless you have a plugin in there. And since he said that and it was asked, today, I thought we'd cover that in the stream to say one of the nice things about Sublime is that if it doesn't have functionality that you want, you have a lot of the building blocks you need to create the functionality you want most times. In this particular case, there's already a command that does what this person wants to do. It just requires a little bit more finagling if you wanted it to do all files everywhere. And if that was the case, then we could do this. We could also enhance this as well, because as you say, if you wanted it to just do in the current group and nowhere else, we could infer that as well. You could do something like current equals false, in which case it would do what it does here, right? Or you could do the active group to get the index of the currently selected group. Pardon me. So if you wanted to, you could say if current, then this, but you might say something like self.window.active group, else do that if you wanted to do something like that as a simplistic kind of case. Let's just sort of scale that back a little bit so you can see what's going on there, which would allow the command to infer that it should use the currently active group unless you wanted to close all of them. Could probably summarize that down a fair bit as well, because that looks kind of gross. But ow, I'm blind. It has a start and a stop. All right. So What do we call this? Well, you don't want to use the actual range. No. Something is equal to range self.window.numGroups, if not current, else range this thing twice, which is just ugly as well. Have you done that? I'm assuming, since you're saying that. That's another way to do the same sort of deal. And then this could be for group in something. Like so. I'm assuming that compiles. And then I don't like the way that looks, mind you, but if you deleted both of those two files, oh, this one has to still be there. Shoot, hang on. Okay. They both go away, and you close all deleted files and say current true. Well, I'm not going to lie, I was expecting a little more to happen there. Yeah, that'd be an interesting exercise as well. Do you do it completely from scratch or leveraging some existing commands? I would assume it's completely from scratch, right? Pardon me. Okay, why does that do anything? I bet you range doesn't necessarily work the way that I think it does. Right? So that probably doesn't actually run. Yeah. That figures. Have you done that, Ashwin, in both plugin hosts? I'm assuming based on you saying that. That's something that's sort of on my to-do list as well. And that is to say, get more familiar with pathlib. Only touches the one. Oh, right, I guess we got to put the file back. Whoops. Bring it back. Oh, come on. Wrong console. It's been one of those days. And if that one over there, which, make sure you can actually see that. Whoop. If that's the one that has the focus, only that one goes away. And then we got a touch test2 and bring that file back. Oh, sorry, that was test1, wasn't it? The ordering of those got a little bit funkied up. Delete both files, and now if we do this with current false, they both go away. So that's one way to do that. There we go. Yeah, I hear you on that. I've been trying to get better about if I'm working in a plugin that I know is going to be Sublime Text 4 related. I try at the very least to make sure that I'm using F strings instead of string concatenations or string.format because it does make life a lot nicer. There's probably a lot of other things that could be done as well, but I never think of those per se. Uh, but pathlib is something that I need to be more familiar with. But yeah, I just automatically fall back to os.path myself as well. I'll change that from num to count. Active is equal to self.window.active group instead. And then this, instead of being that, would be count. And both of those would be active. And then we can join them all up. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Seems a little bit nicer. This will only operate over the current file group. Otherwise, it will close all. We'll change this to something like simple wrapper around the built-in command that will close tabs for deleted files. It normally exists only in the tab context menu and can't be directly bound to a key directly. Basically, so it requires you to give it a group number. That is more like what we actually want this to do. So the last thing to do, I guess, would be to bind it to a key. Wouldn't that be nice? I would drop Camtasia in a heartbeat to do videos with the Sublime Text video editor. Also, you heard it here first. If Sublime HQ is going to make some sort of non-linear video editor and you need somebody to be in a super secret private beta, you could do worse. I've used a lot of software in my day of a video-related nature. Somehow, I don't think that's necessarily in the cards. But man, that would be sweet. The more I use Windows Terminal, the more I think a Sublime version of something like that would probably be pretty swank as well. Particularly because there's a video about this. I can't remember who did it. I just know that it's on YouTube. Somebody pointed out that you could create a terminal that displays hundreds, if not thousands of times faster than standard terminals do if you were smarter about how it does it. And unfortunately, my brain's kind of frazzled at the moment. I can't remember the specifics of that. But the guy had some fancy ideas, and I would like to subscribe to his newsletter. I'm pretty sure most of my issues with Windows terminal are in how ungodly slow it takes a new command prompt or a new PowerShell or a new commander to fire up when you do something. And then tangentially, I'm also kind of cheesed about how absolutely awful the terminal emulation is, because if you SSH into a Linux system, all hell breaks loose fairly frequently. It's the sad maker, particularly when I'm tasked with doing a lot of Linux stuff on remote systems from a Windows box, because the people that normally do that don't currently have any sort of connectivity. Let's go ahead and do something like thus. Command, I can either tabs across all groups in the current window, or just the ones in the current group. Boom. His ideas weren't fancy. They're oh, well, there you go. I mean, well, you've seen that video then, which is awesome, so you know what I'm talking about. I think that was more related to how other terminals tend to do that. Yeah, there you go. I think my larger, well, if we're being perfectly honest, the largest issue I have with the whole system is that some rather draconian and stupid firewall mechanisms make sure that connections get whacked even while you're actively using them. Yeah, I think that was my recollection as well. And I couldn't remember if it was like new Windows Terminal or just Windows Terminal emulation in general, you know, like as seen in command prompt and the like. But see, that this just proves if you were to create a terminal, it would be awesome. I don't know how the system knows, but if I use PuTTY to create an SSH connection to a remote server and I use Windows OpenSSH, I mean, I guess that would be how it knows, but what I mean to say here is that with a Windows OpenSSH connection open and a PuTTY open to the same system, 9 times out of 10, the Windows one will just abort in the middle of you typing for no readily apparent reason, except probably that OpenSSH is Windows, whatever packs in with Windows isn't the greatest possible system for something like that. Basically, I require all of my tools to be Sublime, I think is what we've learned here. We've already got the text editor for doing work. We have the Git client for checking said work in. When wanting to work with the terminal, hey, that would be pretty boss. And then I create a lot of videos. There we go. Now, if you wanted to create a web browser, well, I'd say that's crazy. But, you know, all else being equal, the other things would be pretty cool. I like, by the way, Ashwin, I like the new Windows terminal in general, based on how you can have multiple tabs and the like, and different things. So it's very easy to have a couple of split tabs in a window and have them both be command prompts, or have one be a git bash and one be something else, or that sort of stuff. That part I really like. It's just creating new tabs, for me anyway, is a lot slower than I would expect it to be. But, you know, I'm used to being able to do this and just have them ready to go at a moment's notice without waiting a second or two before it's finally ground. Now that being said, yeah, you close all those. I'm cool. This laptop that I'm using here. Oh, right. Are we going to do that? Close window. Thank you. Is really rather old, but I've noticed that on faster ones as well. I just think Windows in general doesn't spawn processes as quickly and as efficiently as Linux does. Maybe that's just my bias, but that seems to be the case for no matter what you're doing. I kind of thought they did. All right. Just out of curiosity, I'm pretty sure we've discovered this in the past, but this only there's only events to know when views have been focused, but not when the application itself gains focus, right? I'm pretty sure that's the case. Also, I'm pretty sure those other things should totally be indexed in here. We need to work on that in a future stream. Unless there's new action in the API, of course, that I might not know about. Speaking of actions that there's a lot of events that haven't been covered by the documentation yet. Those are just all view and yeah. Hello, Barua Dinesh. How you doing? Reinstalled Sublime after build. It's showing nothing. Nothing? What do you mean by nothing? Like, does no panel occur? Does the panel open but it doesn't display anything? Does the status bar down in the bottom left say no build system? What exactly are you seeing there? Yeah. I like that as a command. What I didn't show is how you could bind this to a key, but I think we've already covered that particular situation. Next was this. Can you jump the current line to the top of the window? This was something that someone asked in the forum, and they asked in Stack Overflow. And I had a ready-made plugin that does something like this. I don't know why that's marked for close. It doesn't meet a Stack Overflow guideline because it's not related to the tools that programmers use for programming, which is obviously a lie. Sadly, that doesn't work here, Ben. On the list of things to do, try to make a YouTube chatbot, but YouTube's APIs make me kind of sad, so I'm not sure when that'll actually happen. Technically, in a purely technical sense, I can kind of make it happen, except that it always says the same thing. And it's currently typing into my Twitch chat right now. Yeah. No written panel. So the build output panel appeared, but nothing came inside of it. What kind of thing are you trying to run is another thing that would be interesting or important to know. Are you trying to do something with C? Are you trying to do something with Python? If you get a panel but nothing appears in it, that's pretty odd. Unless you had a custom build. You found the secret way to make that happen. Ben is a hacker extreme. A C program. Do you hear the sounds for that here? Or no? I didn't hear anything, but I think my headset turned off. I I uh I think when I manually summoned the heckle bot, my completely uncryptic statement clued Ben into how he could manipulate the system to make that happen. Uh, the I'll give you a hint. The overlay that is used here, my YouTube stream setup is a direct copy paste of the Twitch streaming thing. I just changed the chat overlay to point to a different thing, which is why I need to fix it because it's currently cropped in a funky way. This one is something that, to be perfectly honest, I thought we had already thrown into the scraps repository, but we didn't. So that was going to be an idea of something that we could actually do here if this actually isn't present. Oh, there's a pull request in here. Oh, wait, did that never actually go in? Oh, good gravy. I thought that happened a long time ago. Well, all right. That might explain why that wasn't actually done. That's embarrassing. That's only been sitting there for 2 months. I may have been expecting the person that approved it to also close it for weird reasons. All right, I think that may solve an issue for why something wasn't there that I thought was going to be there. Selection to top. Yeah, there we go. Well, all right, that saves work because I was going to create a pull request and then ask Keith, why is this not in here? I thought we synced all of this stuff up at the end of last year. My brain really is fried these last couple of days. You discovered the secret. Haha. You are now in the know.
Success!
We can make that play here as well. All right. Well, that just sort of takes us to the last item there. The default C build system. Well, it turns out that we're actually going to be looking at that right now because someone asked about how to make an interactive build system for C and C++. I couldn't find the direct comment. YouTube's comment system leaves a lot to be desired at times. The channel page studio that I have for the channel will show me comments I haven't responded to yet, but that only applies to top level comments. And I think this comment was a reply to something, so it wasn't immediately obvious where it actually was because it was a link to this video here. I'm pretty sure that's what I saw in the mail, which is the create any build system that a version of a C build system that's interactive in the same way that Terminus is. Oh, there's also a thing we should do for somebody in the forum as well. To answer or look more closely into your question, Barua, I'm sure I'm saying that correctly. There are 2 build systems that ship with Sublime out of the box for doing C stuff, which is single file.sublime build and C++ single file.sublime build. They're both in the C++ package. That's one. And C++ single file.sublime build is this one. And you might note that if I flip back and forth between these two, these are exactly identical in every way except GCC changes to G++ and source.c changes to source C++. If you're using one of these, that actually that's built in, then you should get some form of output. What you could be seeing here, yeah, were you the one that asked this question? Because in which case that makes that a lot easier, and you're actually here and don't have to try to find the thing. Here's what you could be seeing as something that's going wrong with this. Here's a C program. Hello, YouTube. This is a simple C program in this case. Same sort of thing applies to C++. We say we want to use the C single file, and oh boy, that's broken real hardcore. I guess I should probably put a semicolon on the end of that line. We unhappy now? Oh, hang on. Ignore that. I have stuff in my home directory that's causing a problem. So if I do this, the minimum amount of output that you should see, no matter what you do, is this. Finished in some amount of time. If you're using Sublime Text 3, it'll be something dot something seconds. If you're using Sublime Text 4, you see some number of milliseconds. As you just saw, if your code is broken in some fashion when you do it, you definitely get error output. But even if not, you see that. This exact same thing will work if you have MinGW. You don't even have to do anything, because MinGW installs a G++ and a GCC for you automatically. What you do have to do if you're using MinGW, and I believe there is a video about this on the channel if you haven't seen it. Sorry, we want get video link, pardon me. And the video, hang on. It has been a while. I need to fix this package, you know. Hang on just one moment while we click some magic buttons, like so. Okay. Yeah, make sure we're looking at the correct thing. We want an uploaded video. It has to pull down the list of all the videos on the channel. And we say something like MinGW. Using MinGW to compile programs in Sublime Text. Boom. If you haven't watched this video, watch that. It tells you how to install MinGW. Presumably you already have that installed, so that part doesn't matter. But what it points out in there is that this build system that's built into Sublime and this build system that's built into Sublime, both of them will work out of the box for a simple single file C or C++ program if you have MinGW installed. It requires you to update your system path, which is talked about in that video. And when you update the path, you have to restart Sublime after you update the path to make sure that Sublime sees it. But it should work for you. Fun. When I compile on my work laptop, the fans scream and I can't type. It has such poor interactive response that it can't compile TypeScript and allow the mouse to move and the keyboard to receive input at the same time. It's fun. Presumably on Windows, if you're talking about MinGW, that was your heckle. Oh, gotcha. Barua, if you're on Windows and you're using MinGW and you have a virus scanner of some sort, if you like it, you should. You don't need to buy it in order to get this to work. Let's say that off the bat. Anything that you want to do with Sublime, you can do with the evaluation version. So if you're thinking of buying it and you think you like it, then definitely do it. If you're still trying to decide if it'll do what you want, then by all means keep using the evaluation version until you're sure that it will do what you want before you spend the money on it, because there's no functional difference between the evaluation version and the full version, except that the full version doesn't remind you that you should be purchasing it if you're going to use it for an extended period of time. But the developers of Sublime are very kind in allowing you to have as much time as you need to make absolutely for sure that it is the tool that you want to use before you outlay any money. So you can do absolutely everything in the trial version. There's only a couple of things you can't do without a licensed copy. One of them is turn off update checks, and the other one is use in development versions. You can only use stable released versions. But apart from that, all functionality is identical. So if you're using MinGW and you're on Windows, make for sure that if you have a virus scanner installed, I personally have problems. I've seen this be a problem with Avira, but it also applies to other ones as well. MinGW can get trapped, and the programs that it compiles, more importantly, can get trapped by your virus scanner's scanner if it has heuristic scans turned on. It tends to think of programs that are compiled by as simple MinGW programs as potentially containing a virus, and it'll quarantine them and stop you from running them. That could be something that you're running into here. Apart from that, MinGW, once it's installed and in your path and you restart Sublime after you've installed everything, should work exactly the same as you see here. Do it with the C file, fool. That one is just compiling it, and C single file run will actually run it, and you see the output. Either way, when you do it, you will see this information that says how long it took to do, if you're doing it with the build systems that are built directly into Sublime. If you've created your own, then it's possible that it might actively say nothing. It's entirely possible to modify this version of the file so that it only says something if there's an error, for example. I've never seen that be a problem with Windows Defender. Definitely don't disable it. Even if you have a virus scanner, you need to include the stuff that you're working on, like in its whitelist, or disable its heuristic scanner, because there's not actually a virus in there. It just thinks that there is. Hello, Rory on a bike. Let's see. New to Sublime, I have a question I can ask elsewhere if off topic here. What's the difference in preference between scaling the user interface and choosing a larger type size? Well, that would be something like this. If you change the setting for font size, so say for example font size, and we set this to 50, that writing gets gigantic, but the tabs are still the same size. And if there was a sidebar open, that would... Oh, hey, check that out. I think we might actually have links. Oh, also, hello, FearTech. Didn't see that. If somebody wants to try to share like a link to a Sublime forum or something so we can see if it's actively allowing links now, that would be great. Permission denied, collect to. All right, that is a very common error to have. Let's zip back very quickly for a second to Rory on a bike. The difference in preferences between scaling the user interface and choosing a larger font size is this. If you choose a larger font size, the writing gets gigantic, however big you want it to be. You can also do that in other ways. Let me just close that file for an example here. We could do it here. You can make the writing big, but the interface remains the same size always. On the other hand, if you were to go into your user, well, actually, let's do this one. Let's do it the way you would normally do it. You would go to, say, Preferences, Settings, for example. I'm going to put my font size back to the size that it normally is. If you do something with UI Scale and change this, say, to 2.0, you need to quit Sublime, and when you restart it, everything is bigger. The tabs are bigger and the writing is bigger. So which one of these you use really depends on what kind of monitor you have. Are you having a problem seeing the text, or are you having a problem seeing the interface? And even then, I'm pretty sure the UI scale should automatically set itself unless you you only need to set it specifically. Oh, well, that's a rip. Yeah, it's not showing that at all. Interestingly enough, that MinGW thing, it asked me if that was okay. Oh, well. So that would be the difference there. I'm going to have to flip that back the other way as well. Let's put the UIs. Let's just remove that. Thank you. That went too far. Quit, restart to put things back to the way that they were. There we go. Oh, actually, this window's not even needed at all. So hope that answers your question there. Whoa. Hey. Thank you for the super chat, Fear Tech. So hopefully that'll answer your question there. If you just need bigger text, font size is the way to go. If the user interface is visibly too small for you to work with, UI scale is the way to go. And I believe the UI scale should automatically try to figure out how big it needs to be based on the display scale that it's run on. So you really only need to fill the setting if you want to force it, or it doesn't correctly detect it, or you want to tweak up its auto detection, that sort of situation. Fun fact, that UI scale is how I created the thumbnail that I used for my videos. I cranked it way, way up. Going back to, oh, I can't scroll that now. Hang on. Going back to Bara Dinesh's question about collect to error, LD returned 1 exit status. I can see that you must be using. Is it? I could have swore. Maybe I'm thinking of the setting that it used to be. Hang on, let's do a quick check there. Sublime Text must be restarted. 1 is normal. 0 allows for auto detection based on text scale with older Linux configurations. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I had the. There used to be a different setting for this, I think. Like UI DPI or something. So I may be conflating those two in my memory from way back in the day, because I seem to recall that there was another similar-ish setting that went away when this one was added. I may be misremembering that too at this point. Whoa. Hang on. Let's go like that. So a question where you see, let's just copy something like this. This sort of error message and this sort of error message on Windows. LD is the linker, which is responsible for taking all of the compiled object files and turning them into the final executable. And collect is part of that. When you see this, the reason for this is potentially two things, all else being equal. The first is that if you try to run a program that's asking the user for input, it's going to keep running in the background because build systems in Sublime don't allow you to interact with them directly unless you build a special build system manually that does it using the Terminus package. If that's the case, the reason why this is happening is you try to run your program, probably you try to type in your name so that it can say it back as part of a simple hello world program. But since typing into the panel does nothing, you try to run your program again. However, it's still running in the background, and then the system doesn't allow you to do anything with it because it's actively running. Now, as of Sublime Text 4, programs should automatically be canceled when they get built again. So if you're using Sublime Text 4 and it looks like you are, that's probably not what you're seeing here. That was more of a problem in Sublime Text 3. But this is also a symptom of that thing I mentioned where the virus scanner on your system can lock executables on you if it thinks they are invalid. It's sort of like it quarantines them and it stops them from bringing themselves back. And in a case like that, you need to work with your virus scanner. That would be the two things that I would point out for that. But otherwise, it looks like it's probably doing what you want, because this means it's trying to create an executable. Yeah, if you want to use scanf for input or fgetS, for example, that won't work directly. We can sort of verify that right here. You know, we could say something like print enter your name. And we might even do something like who remembers how to use scanf? I generally do something like char buffer 256, and then say something like fgetS buffer size of buffer -1 standard in. Then say, wish I could type tonight, printf hello %s comma buffer. Does this actually compile? No, because this is not Python. So that compiles. What happens when I run it? It asks me for my name. Nothing actually happens because build systems can't be interactive. However, we can tweak that. And we can actually show an example of that here as well. Roy on a bike. Yeah, as you saw there, everything gets pretty. They're sized. They're not scaled. If that makes sense. Hopefully you can see that when I bumped it up. Either way you do it. I guess unless you're using a bitmap font. We need to cancel that particular build. How would we do something like this and actually be able to generate? Here's how you do something like that, Barua. First of all, make sure you install the Terminus package. I'm going to point you at this video right here is going to show an example of what I'm doing right now, only that example is for Python, but we can cover the exact same thing here. The first thing you need to do is have a build system that works, but which doesn't, well, it does the right stuff, but it doesn't allow input, is what I mean by works. In this particular case, that's the one that is called the C single file.sublime build. That's what's being used here. That's this build system. Copy all of that to the clipboard and then go into Tools, Build System. Way down at the bottom it says New Build System, creates a stub. Select all the text, paste it out, save. We'll call this Interactive C, like this. Go up to the top and say that the target is Terminus exec and cancel is Terminus cancel build. Save. This is a version of that build system that is now interactive using the Terminus package, which you can install using package control. That video should talk about that as well. Now that this is in place, if I come back to this and build, it's showing me there's two build systems now. So I'm going to choose the Interactive C run because Interactive C is the one that I just created. The name that you see here is the same as what you name the file. When you save that, it's going to want to save it into your user package. Make sure that the extension is sublime-build. Otherwise, Sublime's not going to know that it's a build system. But I choose this, and it asks me to enter my name, and I say Billy Bob, Joe Jim, and There we go. It has selected the input. As a pro tip, you might notice that when I do that, I have to manually click the mouse into there or otherwise give it the focus. That's because Terminus exec is replicating what the build system normally does, and normal build systems don't allow you to type any input into them. So it doesn't automatically give it the focus. But you could, if you wanted to, say something like, if I remember off the top of my head, focus true. Let's see if I remember that correctly. And there we go. Hello, hello, for example. The most simplistic possible way to do something like that. So that video that I posted up there goes through these exact same steps. You just need to use the C single file.sublime build or C++ single file.sublime build as the base. If you want, you can also tweak it by deleting extra stuff in here so that it just always runs, but that'll be good enough. If you wanted to generate the thing to the right, there's also a video on that as well. Possibly that one that I linked up there talks about it. There's a couple of Terminus type videos. I'm going to guess that that is probably the case. Pardon me, got to be in the correct build system. I'm going to close that one now. Terminus allows you to do something like this if you want, and there's even an example of it in its README. So if we go to package control.io and look for Terminus, like so, it actually tells you how you can do this. If you look in its README, you scroll down here. If you want to use a key binding, open terminal in the split view by using Origami's carry file to pane. Origami is another package that you can install via package control. It allows you to do things like automatically create extra panels quickly and easily and move between them and the like. So we can split stuff as we like. Going to Origami, destroy current pane. All those things that I was doing there are also available in here under Origami. I'm going to destroy that pane too. If you install Origami, you can include this in your build system. I think there's another build example as well. But in any case, if you want to, what you want to do is that, say. What this is telling Terminus is that after it starts the build, run this command. This command is built into the Origami package, and it takes this current, whatever the current file is, and shifts it to the right. So with that in place, oh, pardon me, I forgot. We saw that actually do something there. You need to change this to Terminus open, pardon me. This is the sort of stuff that you don't get to see in my videos. I make these silly mistakes, and then I clip it out, and then when you see the video, it looks like I definitely know what I'm doing. As you can see, I do know what I'm doing, but I tend to make the occasional mistake. If you're gonna carry it to the right or to the left or up, or basically the build has to be in a tab, then you don't use target terminus exec, you use target terminus open. And you remove the cancel key, because if you want to cancel the build, you just close the tab. And now that we've done that, when I run the build, you can see it came right over here, like so. So now it's running over here. You'll also notice in that case that it closes completely because of that. That's how terminus open tends to work. Instead of typing focus true, you change this to auto close false. And we're going over this rather quickly, but that video that I linked up there, or over wherever the chat is, down, I guess. I can't remember where it is on a YouTube stream. That video, watch that. It goes through all of this and describes in more detail exactly how this all works. But now that I've done that, make sure you're in the C file, run the build. Nope. Auto underscore close. There we go. And then we can say hello, and when you're done, close the tab. There's also some that build. Well, all right. I can do that. I'm going to throw it into the chat. Are you the person that was asking this question earlier? Perhaps so. Simplistic example. I will, of course, point you to that video for more explanation for how that stuff is expected to work. The what regression happened this time? I noticed the latest version of Mac OS seems to have solved that problem where scrolling doesn't work correctly. Now, this is something that was asked in the Sublime Discord by Zach S., who wants a little something going on here. So here's something that we can actively do here. With this build, as we have it right now, you'll note I run this. It creates a new tab over here on the right, and we can do stuff. And it just stays there. And if we came back to over here and ran it again, it creates a second tab. And so on and so forth. So you have to remember to close these things. Not the greatest thing in the world, but you can actually tell Terminus to reuse the same tab if you want. And you can do that by including a tag key in here. And give it any value you want, like my tag value, for example. This is a Terminus thing that happens behind the scenes. When Terminus creates a tab, it applies this tag to it, this sort of unique textual name, if you will. So if I run this, we get this one. And then over here, if I run it again, there's an issue related to that, but you see it reused the exact same thing. For this example here, we're going to comment that part out to make this part easier to see. So run the build, a tab, and then run the build, reuses the exact same tab. Someone was asking if there is a way to do this with an automatic tag. Basically, they want to be able to run two different C files and have it infer the tag. And for that, you'd need a little bit of a plugin. Oh, pardon me. I think I missed some chat. How can I shift the output panel of program on the right? Okay, we got that. Please share this C++ build. Okay, I think I'm caught up here. Excellent. There we go. Trying to quick switch the project from the menu. Oh, I wonder if I have a. See if I can get a version running here. Oh wait, this is probably not going to affect me because my Mac is extremely old. So I'm going to guess it's not going to trip up for me. It's like a 2013 one. It doesn't have the latest, greatest Mac OS. Even Apple is not crazy enough to ask me to update. Oh, there's a new version of Sublime, though, so let's go ahead and download that. Fun times. For this, we're going to need a second file. Yeah. Let's save this as test file 2, like that. So let's close and reopen that, and no, I'll just so we'll have two different C files here. Here's what this person actually wants. They have some sort of terminus-based build system that does something. I think it's C, but that doesn't necessarily matter here. And they have two different files that are distinct in some fashion. Here it's two files with the same name, but they have the same content. Doesn't really matter for our example. What they would like is to keep reusing the same tab, such as this, but in such a way that it's distinct for each of them. So here in test file 2, when I run it, it's reusing this same tab. But if I ran it from this one, it's still reusing that tab in the middle. What they want is for each distinct file to have its own tab. And to do that, you need a distinct tag. But in order to do that, this has to be self-contained. What they would actually like to do is something like $file, I think. As you can see, I'm using package dev here, and this tag is all, this whole key is all green. That's an indication that this isn't special in the build in any way. In order for this variable to expand here, terminus would actually have to do it. And I think we would find that if I did it from that one and from this one, they end up being the same. And that's because it's not actually expanding this variable at all. If it's still showing that, then you have that program running in the background. You have to kill that first. And if it's not running in the background, your virus scanner is locking the binary. Both of those things are something that's sort of out of Sublime's control. So how you actually solve those problems depends on what other stuff you're using. But all else being equal, the linker saying that access is denied from collect is an indication that it's trying to create a new executable on disk, but a file by that name already exists and Windows isn't letting it do it. And that's usually because that program is actively running right now somehow, which could mean that it's still running in the background from a previous run and hasn't been canceled, but it can also mean that the virus scanner is actively blocking that file from doing absolutely anything to make sure that your system can't be compromised. Let's create a very simple Terminus wrapper plugin. We're going to say new plugin. And we'll call this a Terminus auto tag command. And it has to be a window command. And it should take any and all arguments. We don't care what they are. And we want it to run the Terminus open. We want it to run the Terminus open command with whatever arguments exist in that array. So we'll call this Terminus auto tag .py, like so. Go to the build, change this to Terminus auto tag, because that's the name of the command, and this should still do what we want. Let us change that to be the correct thing. Really? Really? Oh, whoops. I think we want that. You want to do, well, if Sublime started it, you can do build cancel. Otherwise, you have to use the task manager for your system. Not on Windows at the moment, but basically right-click on the status on the status bar on the taskbar. There should be an option in there for a task manager, and then you can look around to see if you can find your application running and kill it. If all else fails, rebooting will definitely stop it from running. If you were to reboot and the application still doesn't run right from the get-go, that's a great indication that your virus scanner is being overzealous in its protections of you. There we go. And cool. So this simple plugin is the simplest possible wrapper around the terminus open command. So it doesn't actually do anything. It takes any and all arguments, and then it runs the terminus open command and gives it those arguments. So what we want to do here is something like this. If tag in kwargs, then we want to do something a little bit different here. And we want to say something like variables is equal to sublime dot, self window extract variables. I'm going to do this for memory and see how close we get. And then I'm going to say kwargs tag is equal to sublime dot expand variables and kwargs tag. Ah, perfect. Glad I could be of assistance. Pardon me. Hello, Zamindo. I am having a hard time pronouncing your name, so I'm just going to say Zamadulo and quit while I'm ahead. So what this is saying is that we've created a new command named terminus auto tag, which is why it's used with that name here, because the name of a command is inferred from the class that defines it and not the file that it's stored in, which is why you can have more than one command inside the same plugin file. It's a good way to remember that. It has to be a window command because we want to use it in a build, and the only command you can use as the target key in a Sublime build file is a window command. And there's a whole video series on the channel about plugins that are used for custom build targets that explains this in more detail. The run method is the one that is invoked when the command is actually executed. We're saying it can take any and all arguments. We don't care. You just give them to us. If one of those arguments happens to be tag, and then we want to do something a little bit special here. And we want to call self window extract variables, which returns a dictionary of strings populated with contextual keys. We can see this right here. If I focus that and say window.extract variables like this, we can see exactly what we get. File is the whole name of the current file. File base name is just the name of the file with no path and extension. Extension is pi. The file name is the whole file name without the path. The path is the path to the file without the file name. Then there's the packages folder and the platform key. These are exactly the same things that you can expand out in here. File path, right? File base name in here somewhere. Whoop. File base name. This is how this works behind the scenes. So this is grabbing that. It's asking Sublime to do it for us, so we don't even have to do anything. And then when you call expand variables, you give it a value and then variable. So I think I put that in the wrong order. Pardon me. We need to cut this part and go like that. I was doing it from memory. I was pretty sure I was going to get something a little bit wrong. But what this says is take this value and, given this list of variables, expand them out, which is going to cause it to expand the variable out, right? So it's going to, in this particular case, specifically for the tag key, it's going to say any and all build variables, or any and all of these that exist, please expand them into a new string and store it back into the arguments. What that means is that here, where this tag is $file, this will actually expand out to be the name of the current file, which means if I know what I'm talking about, and maybe I don't, I have a button ready to push. If I don't, when I run it in this file, it'll automatically expand the tag key out to be the full name of this file. And when I do it here, it'll do the same thing. These are different files, so this is the first one, and this is the second one. Now there's two tabs. One for that one and one for this one. And if I was to rerun this one, it reuses that one. And if I was to run this one, it reuses that one. So that is as easy as it is to do something like that as well. Is there any feature in the package control for CP? You mean for copying a file? Or do you mean C++? Let me just throw a quick action in here. Boo. Already done it. And then we go bang, 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 Python, boom, 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 boom. Simple little 11-line plugin, which could actually be 9 lines. Just, white space is making that a little bit longer. And that is as easy that there is to do with that. Video chat in Discord. I don't have video chat set up in the Discord currently. Competitive programming. Not that I'm aware of. This is unfair to be using secret knowledge for this because I have to zoom this in to see what it's actually saying. Or I guess I could actively just go over here and see it there. I'm not aware of anything for doing competitive programming specifically. No. What would you need it to do, I guess, is potentially the question of the day. No packages. Well, I mean, I guess if I spelled it correctly, that might work a little bit better. Yeah. A Sublime Text plugin that automatically runs test cases when a program is ran. So technically, I guess, yes. It was last modified 6 years ago, and I don't know what it actually does. I personally don't do competitive programming. But, yeah. That might do something. I can't provide any help for this particular package myself because I don't do competitive programming, so I'm not sure what's actually involved, and I've never used this particular package. It creates a new builder for C++11, and when you run your code, Command-Shift-B, Control-Shift-B, it runs your program against all .in files in the same directory as your source code. This allows you to quickly run your code against many test cases, and it will time out if a test case takes too long. Well, that seems pretty simplistic then, I guess, in that case. This could be all you want for something like that. In this case, since it says it creates a new builder for C++11, that would indicate that this comes with its own build system or its own plugin. So using the Terminus one is not something that you're going to have to do. But all you have to do is install it and then choose competitive programming from the command palette, and probably it'll work for you. I would imagine that's what that means. I mean, I guess if we really wanted to get into the nitty-gritty of this operation, there's a test C++.sublime build. I think I see where weird bash stuff came from. That's the non-Windows version. This is the Windows version. It must ship with a batch file. That's an interesting way to do something like that. Well, there you go. Not how I would have done it, but, whatever works is the correct solution to any particular problem, right? I would think. Whoop. And no, that's That's cool. We got advance warning that someone is sending us a package that we should be very careful to open outside because otherwise there could be a lot of glitter all about the house or about the hoose, as you know, depending on if you think Canadians talk that way or not. Let's jump very quickly to say, we need to go to here. Ew. Do copy message link. And we always like to do this so that it's clear where all of these plugins that are sitting about actively came from at any given point. Whoops. Simple wrapper around the terminus open command that will expand out build variables in the tag key. Is folder one of those? Folder would have been one of those, but I don't have a folder open in the window. Please tell again, how can I shift the terminus panel visible at all times? If you're going to use terminus to do it, change the target to terminus open, or add a key to your build that says target terminus open and add auto underscore close false. If you want to use terminus with that competitive programming package, you'll need to modify the build system that it comes with to also have these two lines. Otherwise, it won't work. Or it won't do what you want, is probably the better way to say that. The competitive programming package that you were talking about has this test c++.sublime build file. This doesn't have a target. It just runs that batch file with extra. No, I'm going to guess that the extra text cases really only work when you choose that. This is really sort of a very badly designed build system. I think it should be a base command, but that's neither here nor there. I'm surprised a.out works as an executable as well, for that matter. But nevertheless, all you would have to do is use view package file from the command palette, open this file, which is named test c++.sublime build, inside the competitive programming package, add in those two lines. Bob's your uncle on that one. And with that, I suspect that I should probably dash myself away from the stream. We've gone about 2 hours now. We covered all the stuff that we would like to cover in here, which is good. And I have been up an ungodly amount of time and fried my brain in meetings as well. So let's do that. That keeps happening. Should I add terminus build text? If you want, if you don't add that terminus open line and the auto close line, which should be in that example that I posted into my Discord, those top two lines in the build, if you don't add those, that competitive programming package build is going to build everything into the panel at the bottom of the window. So if you want it to be in a tab instead, then you want to include those two lines. And alternatively, or additionally, also add, I'll do this. I'll type this here. Add this to the build if you want to keep reusing the window. Post window hooks. Hang on just one mo. And we want to say I added a little bit of an extra thing to the Discord item. So if you want to use terminus to display the results in the tab off to the side, then modify the build using what I put into the Discord. Make sure you add those top two lines, the terminus open and the auto close. The first one will make sure that terminus runs the build. The second one will make sure that the tab doesn't instantly close as soon as the program is done running, which is probably what you want. You want to see what it actually did. And remove the post window hooks line from there and add in the tag line. That'll make it keep reusing the same build over and over again. Alternatively, you cannot use the tag and keep the other part in if you wanted to constantly reuse. But generally, you probably want to keep reusing the same tab so that you don't keep having a bunch of them. And with that, I'm going to jump out of here. We will be back next Monday at the regular time, pending work disasters, such as the one that pushed the stream to today. Also, if you look down in the description of the stream that's happening right now, there's a link to my Twitch channel where I will be streaming tomorrow and Friday as well, same time slot as here. And although the Twitch channel isn't directly related to Sublime Text and Sublime Text questions, if you have any Sublime Text questions, feel free to stop into any stream, say hi, ask a question. We can set aside what we're doing and get you all fixed up. And the archive of this video, as soon as the stream ends, the stream is going to be marked as unlisted, so you won't be able to search for it. But if you check on the channel page, there's a playlist called Sublime Text Live. Should have it in there. It should be automatically added. In fact, it should be there right now. Sublime just hangs for a minute when I open it. Well, that. Do you see any errors in the console? That's usually related to a plugin or package that is doing you a favor. So the first thing that I would suggest for something like that would be this. Following the instructions here to try starting Sublime in safe mode to see if the same thing happens there. And if it doesn't, this could be something that's related to a plugin that you have or a package that you have installed. If you have opened up a large folder, it could be trying to index files. Or as Ben says, if it happens in safe mode, check the antivirus as well. But first troubleshooting step for more or less any Sublime Text related problem, all else being equal, is to follow the instructions in the link wherever it happens to live, and start it in safe mode. There's instructions there for Windows, Mac OS, and Linux that will start Sublime as if it was a fresh install that has never run on your system before. And if that doesn't reproduce the problem, then the problem is more likely related to a package or plugin or key binding or something of that sort, depending on what your problem actually is. And then that will help you narrow in on where the problem actually lies. And with that, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out this evening, and thank you so much to. I need to scroll back to Fear Tech for the $5 super chat. Very welcome. Thank you so much for that as well. Until the next stream, this is ODAT Nerd asking you to please have a sublime day.